luck, whose talents take in hand all life's good things that go so pleasantly. Then he, witless world, behold a grand folly of ignorance. Make thine ear attendant, now on my judgment of her, and understand. He whose high wisdoms over all transcendent, stretched forth the heavens, and guiding spirits supplied, so that each part to each part shines resplendent, spreading the light equal on every side. Likewise for earthly splendors he saw fit to ordain a general minister and guide, by whom vain love, as time grew ripe for it, from race to race, from blood to blood, should pass, far beyond the hindrance of all human wit.
Okay, before you go on, I don't ask you this, but I think in the margins you could answer it. His definition of luck is a general ministering spirit and guides. In other words, God is behind it, but God is like appointed some angel or to do it, but it's really God. It is a general minister and guide. In other words, he's saying that God is behind all things that we call luck. And why are some countries wealthier than others? Why is North Carolina such a great place to live, and maybe in the middle of some desert somewhere not such a great place to live? And you were born in the desert, and you never learned about beaches and mountains. That's not luck. You want to keep going?
Yes. Wherefore some nations diminish, some amass great power obedient to her subtle codes, which are hidden like the snake beneath the grass. For her your science finds no measuring rods, she in her alone provides, maintains, makes laws, and judges as do in theirs the other gods. Her permutations never know truce nor pause. Necessity lends her speed, so swift and fey men come and go, and cause succeeds to cause. Lo, this is she that has to curse the name, even from those that should give praise to her. Luck, whom men senselessly revile and blame. For she is blissful and she does not hear. She with the other primal creatures gay tastes her own blessedness and turns her spirit.
All right, so he gets that out of the way. Why are some people richer than others and so forth? Now they actually go to another place. This is the first time we get two circles in one canto. They are now moving toward circle 5 from circle 4. And circle 5 are the wrathful. That means the angry, essentially. So anybody want to pick? Okay, Anna Grace will pick it up there. And this also involves another river. The second river, the river Styx, is actually the 5th circle. The river is the circle.
Okay. Come to more piteous woes we must away. All stars that rose when I set out now sink, and the high powers permit us no longer stay. So to the further edge we cross the rink, hard by a bubbling spring which, rising there, cuts its own cleft and pours on down the brink. Darker than any purse it water were, and keeping company with the ripples dim, we made our way down by the eerie stair. A marsh there is called Styx, which the sad stream forms when it finds the end of its descent under the gray, malignant rock foot grim. And I, staring about with eyes intent, saw mud-stained figures in the myrrh again beneath, naked with looks of savage discontent. At fisticuffs, not with the fists alone, but with their heads and heels, and with their bodies too, and tearing each other piecemeal with their teeth. Son, the kind master said, here mayest thou view the souls of those who yield them to wrath. Further, I'd have thee know and hold for truth that others lie plunged deep in this vile broth, whose sighs see there, wherever one may look, come bubbling up to the top and make it froth. Bogged there, they say, sullen were we took no joy of the pleasant air, no joy of the good sun, our hearts smothered with a sulky smoke. Sullen we lie here now in the black mud. This hand they gurgle in their throats, for whole words they can nosy frame. Now wise friend, thus we pursued our path round a wide arc of that gassed pool, between the soggy marsh and a rid shore, still eyeing those who gulp the marsh foul, and reached at length the foot of a tall tower.
All right, this is the F class, and we just finished reading Canto 7, which is Circle 4 and part of Circle 5. So, a couple things we need to note, and we'll look at the questions. Discuss the personification found on page, it says 112, it's actually 113. And explain why Dante might have chosen to use this literary device here. Did anybody notice that giving something that's not human characteristics?
Whoa. What's it?
Lena,
A marsh there is called Styx, which the sad stream forms. So streams can be sad.
That's right.
But sad.
so why do you think he did that?
Because Styx is supposed to be, I think, if I remember correctly, if you know the mythology, it's pretty long. Styx, you forget your memory in, or I might be thinking of remove it, whatever. But it's,
Lethe is the memory.
yeah, but Styx, it's always portrayed as like really dark, dreary, you know,
Sure.
saying that it's sad and
Right.
emphasizing
And these are
that.
angry people, so that would make sense, yeah.
Maybe because they're about to pass it in the city of Dis, which like kind of guards the lower house. And like, I
Yeah.
think Greek mythology, they have to cross the river Styx to get into hell, so maybe this is like symbolism back to that.
Sure, yeah. I mean, what he does, he brings a lot of different elements of mythology together. I was actually reading, if you were interested, it still interests me, the idea, to backtrack a little bit, of where the Old Testament saints went after they died. And I tried to find a source I could really trust, but it did say something that made sense to me, that even in the Old Testament, I didn't look at the references, there was this difference between Sheol, which most theologians call hell, and paradise, which was, in our book, a part of hell. You see, paradise is limbo. But that these Old Testament saints went to the good side of the afterlife, and the bad side. When Jesus went to heaven, heaven was opened, and everybody now goes there. So we don't have to, whatever that was like, we don't have to go there. So that's a good point about 33. 34, as in the previous circles, circle 5 contains two opposing manifestations of anger. Remember circle 4, the spendthrifts and the hoarders back and forth? Well, now you also have two sides of this. The actively angry and the passively angry. In your opinion, do these two groups deserve equal punishment? We'll get to that. So you have two groups of people. The sullen, we should have flipped it. The wrathful, which are active anger. What do you think active anger looks like? Yeah.
Like physical.
I'm sorry, you start.
Vengeance, I'd say, like,
Vengeance?
yeah, like going out and just taking
Yeah,
over through
right.
aggressiveness.
Right, it's physical violence. People get angry, they get physically violent. What about the sullen? What's the other way? Even you and I can handle our anger. Yeah,
It's like when you're angry, but at like something that happened back then, you know, like you don't, it's not like present anger, it's kind of like sulking in the back of your head that like the person has done something to you.
okay, yeah.
Where it can be present, like we don't, because I'm sure not all of us, like physically, like
No,
take our
we don't.
anger on others when we're angry, but like, it's anger in you that can be the same as like, physical anger, but it's just inside and
Yeah.
you're not acting on it.
You're holding it.
Like you still have, like, it's like in your head, you're like, oh, curse this person, like, it
Yeah.
doesn't mean, like, it's like that kind of.
Good. Lena?
Chip Ingram, he's a podcast we listen to sometimes, but he said there's 3 types of anger. There's fear, stuffer, and I forgot what the third one is. But I guess the sullen would be like, I'm angry about it, but instead of like dealing with it in a healthy way or exploding about it, I'm just gonna stuff it and not deal with it. So
And
that's
probably
what-
resent the person that
Yeah.
made you angry instead of confronting them. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we have here. And what you're gonna see is that the actively angry people are literally in the river fighting each other constantly. The sullen angry people are under the river. And it's more like a swamp, not a clear river. It's kind of dirty and swampy. So they're actually suffocating underneath the water because that's what anger can do to you. It makes you so angry that you feel like you're gonna explode, but you don't.
So the wrathful are there like above water?
Above water are the active wrathful. Below water, it's the passive and sullen people. They're just holding it in.
Alright.
So I think we've answered 34, and then you can turn the page. Anybody who hadn't read today would like to read? All right, why don't we start with Taylor? We need somebody to read the story. Which do you want to read, the story or the text? Taylor.
The text.
All right.
I can read this book.
All right, we'll do that. We'll get to Catherine and Jonathan. All right, so that would be Lena. notice top of the page. At the end of the previous canto, there was a tower. And so there's gonna be this thing about the tower for a few minutes. You'll see what that is.
From the watchtower on the edge of the marsh, the beacon signals to the garrison of the city of Dis that Dante and Virgil are approaching, and a boat is sent to fetch them. Belgaeus ferries them across Styx. On the way they encounter Filippo Argenti, one of the wrathful who is recognized by Dante and tries to attack him. They draw near to the red-hot walls of the city, and after a long circuit disembark at the gate. Virgil parleys with the fallen angels who are on guard there, but they slam the gate in his face. The two poets are obliged to wait for divine assistance.
So 2 or 3 cantos will go by before we leave this place right here. We're right before the city of Dis, crossing the river Styx, and then they get stuck there for a couple of cantos because they can't get in or get through, and there'll be a reason for that. So, Taylor.
I say continuing that ere we came to that tower's foot, our eyes had long been led to its summit by 2 twinkling floats of flame, which we saw kindled there, while far ahead and almost out of eyeshot, we espied the answering beckons flicker. So I said, turning to the well of wisdom at my side, what does it say? What does the other light leave back? Who may be signals? He replied. Who may be signals? He replied. Already across the water heaves in sight what's to be looked for from signals off, so it be not veiled from thee by the light of the marshments. I looked and never shaft to swift from bowstring speed sped in thin air as though those turbid waves a light craft came skipping toward us. One sole mariner guided its course, who shouted from the prow, "Oh, thou wicked spirit, so thou art there! Nay, Pelagus, said my lord, peace now, this time thou criest in vain. We are no need for thee, thou hast but to fear us or the sword." As one who hears of same outrageous cheat, practice on him, in fumes and chokes with gall, so Pelagus,
Or Phlegius.
say it again?
Phlegius.
So Phoebus regarded fumed at this defeat.
All right, thank you. So these towers signal each other. And so here comes this kind of like Charon across the first river. Here comes Phlegius on a boat, and he comes over to get them. And he won't let him in. The sole mariner guided his course, who shouted from his prow, "Oh ho, thou wicked spirit, so thou art there. Nay, Phlegius, peace now. This time has cried in vain." I think he's trying to stop him like usual, but he doesn't. So they get in the boat with Phlegius. Turn to the back of your book to page 334.
How come there's always somebody trying to stop him? Every camp, like,
I know.
stop, and then he like charms him out
I
of the
know.
way. and
It's a cool little detail, isn't it? I don't know why that happens, has to happen. Phlegius is the ferryman of hell, Styx. Well, that didn't tell us as much as I hope.
Yo,
All right, turn back to 120. That's the better explanation. She doesn't duplicate her explanation. So if she gives them in the notes, she won't give as much in the glossary. But look at the top of page 120. Phlegius in Greek mythology was king of Boeotia, son of Ares, the war god by human mother. His daughter Coronis was loved by Apollo, whereupon Phlegius in his rage set fire to Apollo's temple. Apollo killed him with his arrows, and he was condemned to torment in Hades. He is thus an appropriate ferryman to ply between the circle of the wrathful and the city of the impious. So,
She's on like with the hood.
what's that?
Like he has like a hood. And
Probably, but he would in his anger burn down the temple to Apollo. So that's why he's an appropriate. We just answered 35.
What? Oh.
All right,
He
so
had wrath of
yes,
burning down
he was
Apollo's
also
temple.
angry. Catherine, you're next. top of page 117. You read all of it or half of it?
All
So,
of it.
read half of it so I can read.
What?
Oh, I thought you were read half of it so I can read.
Okay, Jonathan was gonna read next, and then you can read, so we'll start with Catherine. Read about half of it. Yeah.
Alright. Hold on, the bottom line.
So then, thank you.
So then my guide embarked, and at his call I followed him, and not till I was in did the boat seem to bear a lot at all.
Underline that. Again, notice he gets in the boat, that is Dante, and what happens to the boat? It sinks. It bears his weight. Nobody else in hell has any weight. They're spirits, although you can see them. They appear to have bodies, but they're spirits. So it actually shifts. Keep going.
When we were set, the ancient vessel then put forth at once, cleaving the waters ground deeper than her wont. Our voyage to begin. And as we ran the channel up of the dead slime, there started up to me a mud-soaked head, crying, "Who art thou, come here before thy time?" "Though I come," said I stay not, thou who art made so rank and beastly, who art thou? Go to thou, ceased, and I am one who weep, he said. And I, amid the weeping and the woe, accursed spirit, do thou remain and rot. I know thee filthy as thou art, I know. Then he stretched out both hands to clutch the boat, but the master was on his guard and thrust him back, saying, "Hence the other dogs, trouble him not."
So you see what just happened. Some guy comes out, grabs the boat, tries to talk to Dante. Dante's not real nice to him. And Virgil comes and thrusts the guy back in the water. And Jonathan's gonna read the rest of the page.
And after, laid his arms about my neck and kissed my face and said, "Indignant soul, blessed is the woman that bare thee. This bold Jack was an arrogant brute in the world, nor in his whole life can remembrance find one sweeping touch. So must his raging spirit writhe here and roam. Many who strut like kings up here as such shall wallow hard like in the mud, leaving behind nothing but foul reproach. Master, said I tell thee, it were good if I might see this villain
Soused.
in this world before we have passed the lake. Oh, that I could. And he made answer, Thou shalt gaze thy fill wherever thou set eyes on the far shore. Here in his fitting thou shouldst have thy will. And soon I saw him set upon so sore by muddy gang, such as pulling and hauling, that I still praise and thank my God therefore.
All right, very important what just happened. We just answered 36. Numerous occasions, Dante is reminded of his humanity. He is unlike the souls he encounters in many ways. How is he reminded of this again at the beginning of Canto 8? How is he reminded that the boat sinks or tips? Yeah. Why do you think Dante, the author, consistently weaves this idea into the story?
Kind of brings him back to reality.
Good.
kind of.
Yeah, and a reminder that he isn't in hell, and he's not going to hell because he's saved. Why does Virgil seem to justify Dante's anger toward the sinner in the mire? The sinner's name is Filippo Argenti. Remember that name. I always joke, and it sounds like an Italian suit maker, doesn't it?
Filippo.
Yeah, I'm wearing a Filippo Argenti suit
Filippo.
today. Really
Is that the guy who came out of the water?
It's the guy that came out of the water.
Where's his name?
Filippo Argenti.
38. Right?
Okay, the question is, why is Dante rude to him, and Virgil thrusts him back in the water and compliments Dante on his rudeness or indignance toward him, yeah.
Because before Dante felt bad for some of the sinners, and now he's
Yes.
not
Yes.
feeling bad for them.
He's now understanding, and even says these people are here justly judged by God. That really comes later, but they will be justly judged by God. And remember, these sins all represent his own sins. So we shouldn't pity our own sins. We should treat them roughly and treat them with authority. And so this is a turning point. In fact, you might want to point that out. This is a turning point for Dante. He now is beginning to understand. Why did he go to hell in the first place? To understand what it takes to go to heaven. You have to repent of your sins to go to heaven. You don't have to become perfect. That's impossible. You don't even have to completely stop sinning, because that's never going to happen in this world. But you have to hate your sin, and you have to repent, which means you're gonna turn your back on it. And so this is a turning point for Dante. He realizes that's my attitude toward my own sin. We have just a couple of minutes. Catherine, yes, Neil. Oh, by the way, the last time he sees Filippo Argenti, this gang of other people are beating up on him, and he's beating up on them because they're wrathful. They're always fighting.
Villages.
Have at Filippo Argenti. Top of page 118. Top of page 118.
All in 120.
You silly. You silly.
Have at Filippo Argenti. They were bawling. Lulu. The shade of the fierce Florentine turned on himself, biting with his teeth and mauling.
Now, why do you think that's significant? That the angry person starts chewing his own and scratching his own self?
Oh, so angry, he doesn't know what to do with himself, so he just starts attacking.
That,
Okay.
and also, like, as you said, it ties back to, like, other sins in hell, like, the other circles, how Cerberus was just chewing on them as a
That's a good
form of
point.
punishment. He's chewing on himself because he's like, I'm angry, I'm gonna
Yeah.
cannibalize.
And another way you might want to put it, you can write it in the sin, anger particularly, is self-destructive. He literally is destroying himself. When you get angry, it can be there's a righteous anger, but we rarely have that. Usually our anger is not righteous. So when it's not, it's self-destructive. Like sin itself is self-destructive. You may continue.
Yes, sir. There left we him, as though this tale of mine, for on my ears there smote a wailing cry, and a crane forward eager to divine. In meaning, see my son, it now draws nigh, said my good Lord, the city name of this, with its sad citizens, its great company. And I already see its
Mosques.
ours clear from the valley yonder, a red shell as though it dawned out of glowing furnaces. And he replied, the flames unquenchable that fired them from within thus make them burn ruddy. As those ceased in this the neither hell, we now were come to the deep moats, which turned to gird that city all disconsolate, whose walls appeared as they were made of iron. A long way around we had to navigate before we came to where the Pharaoh roared. Out with it you now, for here's the gate.
He even sounds angry, doesn't he? He orders people around. He sounds like he's mad at them.
Thousands and more donning the Barbican.
Barbican is a tower with a gate.
I saw this of spirits falling from heaven, who cried angrily, who goes there? Why walks this man? Undead, the kingdom of death. My guide, wary and wise, made signs to them, to show he saw a secret parley. Then their pride, abating somewhat, they called out, Waso, come thou within, and bid that fellow be gone. That rash intruder on our rim below, let him win back his foolish way along, see if he can, for thou with us shalt stay that through this nighted land hast led him on. Reader, do but convince of my dismay. Hearing these dreadful words, it seemed quite plain. I never more should see the light of day.
All right, so they come to the city of Dis, a red-hot, burning walls of the city of Dis, and Phlegius forces them out, and all the people that are on the wall, behind the wall, they're angry that Dante is there, because he's alive, and they say, you're not coming in. And so this is the first time in the story where they can't order the gate to be open. This is a gate that Virgil cannot open. So we will stop there, and we'll pick this up tomorrow we meet. I think I meet you first thing in the morning. So at 8:15, we'll meet and go over there, and then go. Yeah, we're having a all school forum.
For you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, Ms. King and I are going to be part of it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What was a Barbican again?
It's a tower with a gate in it.
Wait, so we don't even have a class tomorrow?
Yeah, after we do that, we'll come back here and have a class. You have no forum tomorrow.
Because AP is lit.
There'll be a pretty long break that you can go to people's rooms or whatever, but yes, the AP. Yeah, tomorrow you have a break. From 9 9:25 to 9:55, so, 30 minutes, great, okay.
She's not, he said
Wait,
she's
what?
not mine. I
So
wish she was.
9:25 to 9:55, we have a 30-minute break.
Because she's supposed to.
We're talking about. So you'll meet here in the morning, and then we'll go over there. And then come back here and have class. But there'll be no further for it.
Trying to be people down.
Thank you, Mrs. Howard.
You see my vocabulary?
I did.
Eyes wide.
Thank you, Mr. Powell.
Yeah, we'll see ya.
Mr. Powell,
Yes.
I'm in Florida now, to practice a little something with Alice. So I'll
Is this for this?
talent show.
Talent show. I've heard about it.
Oh, yes.
So you're gonna be singing that?
Yeah, cool. Yeah, we're doing a.
No, let's go, let's go.
Alice
Let's
show.
go, let's go that.
Yeah.
What do you sing?
Wellerman.
I'll do you one better.
Let's look to see.
Damn.
That
I love it. It's funny.
Yeah. So I'll be
But also
around.
the kids tell, he's telling her he's fine, so she knows. She doesn't know what he's saying, she's scared.